Hi everybody, and I just want to go through some basics before we start the class. Just remember to look at the syllabus and check the dates. If you have any questions about the dates, please message me on the Kakao group chat or message me via my email address that's in the syllabus. And if you haven't already, please check which Google Classroom you need to be signed on to. The passwords are there. If you need any help with the Google Classroom, please again send me a message using Kakao Talk or ask another student who's already signed on to Google Classroom. If you go onto the website, it should help you give you instructions about how to sign up for the class. Another thing you need to make sure that you get done is to be on the IQ Online practice. This you can find at the front of your book, the first 2 pages. If you follow the instructions there and sign up for my class, you can see on this slide here the class codes that I've recommended for you to join. Please make sure you join the right class, because I'll need to check to see whether you've done the work that I've assigned you through this website. This is the schedule for 003. There will be this won't be the complete schedule. If you have any questions about that, you need to contact me. As you know, due to the coronavirus, the schedules had to be changed slightly this semester, but if you just check through there, that'll give you details about the midterms, the projects and the finals. And if you have any more questions, as I said, contact me. This schedule is for my 023 class. Again, as I said previously to the other class, look at there for the midterms, the projects, the finals and other relevant dates. If you have questions about holidays, contact me. And this one's for my 029 class, and again all the dates are there, midterms, finals, projects, and as I said, any questions, contact me. So this is also the schedule for class 026. Check the midterm dates, the final dates, the project dates and other dates that are relevant to you, and let me know if you have any questions. If we haven't done the midterm already, if this class is before the midterm, please make sure you understand about the role plays for the midterms. Here's the slide for that, and there's lots of information there, and I think it would be good for you to remember that everyone should be involved in role plays, whether it's for the midterm or not, that all students should participate thoroughly in that role play. So these are the what you need to study for the midterm and the finals. If we haven't done the midterms yet, please check units 1, 2, 3 and 4. You can see the pages that are required on there. So unit 1, for example, has a vocabulary questions from page 7 and grammar from page 20. The finals, if we've done the midterm already, don't forget the finals cover units 5, 6 and 7, and also the pages are there. If you have any questions about unit 7, because it's been blanked off there, let me know, but you should find those on my PPTs that I send via the Kakao open chat. This is a reminder about the project work. It's got the link on there. Actually, I've sent you the same slide to the Kakao Talk chat room, and I think if you just go on to the project project table which is on my Google Drive, and you can find more information about the projects there. Don't forget to work as a team to try to meet the deadlines which are on the deadline pages, the schedule pages of the slides. So good luck. Today's unit is Unit 3, and this is about developmental psychology. When does a child become an adult? There are a lot of movies about becoming an adult. This particular movie here is called Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist, and I firstly want to recommend that you watch the whole movie. It's a really good film, very funny, really well made. The acting is fantastic. If you don't really want to watch the movie, I just recommend watching some video clips of this on YouTube, or even reading a movie review about this film. So it's another one of those kind of teen movies, you know. This is a comedy, it's a romantic comedy, and the main actor that maybe you're aware of is Michael Cera, and the co-star Kat Dennings, and it's based on a book which I've read as well, and the book is about Nick and Nora, and she meets him in a sort of awkward situation and asks him if he'll pretend to be her boyfriend for a few minutes in a nightclub, but they, for the rest of the night, they hang out together, and it's just about them and how they build their relationship with each other. And throughout the movie there's a lot of cameos from famous people and I really recommend it. It was shot in America, in New York actually, and it's just a really fantastic film about being a young person and becoming an adult. So one of my questions to you really is, do you have a playlist? You may not know what that means. A playlist is a list of songs that you like to listen to with your family or your friends, and maybe you have that playlist in your YouTube channel or on your phone. And if you do have a playlist, what is on your playlist, and what songs do you like to listen to at certain occasions when you're with friends? The other thing is, what makes people have playlists? Do Koreans or people from your country generally have playlists on their phones or on their YouTube channels? And if so, why? Why do they do that? What makes them want to have a playlist? So here's another movie about young people. This was a romantic comedy movie, a romantic drama really, from America in about 2014. And the two actors are Shailene Woodley and Ansel Elgort. I think the movie is about two young people who meet together because they have something in common, which is the fact that they both have or have had cancer, and so they met at a support group and they fall in love. And the book is actually written, it's a famous book, and it's written by a really famous YouTuber. The book's written by John Green, and he does a lot of YouTube stuff. But anyway, he wrote this book, And I wonder if there's any books that you've read about young people that would probably make a good movie that hasn't been made a movie yet. And um, if you can think of a book, um, what book would that be, and why would you choose that as a book that could make a good movie? So it was, a lot of people liked this movie because it was obviously very romantic, and I think people really connected with it. And I don't know about you, but I've never experienced this kind of situation where I've had to go to a support group, and but through that experience met somebody I loved. I'm just wondering whether you think this could be something that could happen a lot, whether people meet their love, the love of their lives, at a support group for something like cancer. Uh, why don't you think about it and let me know about that? The other thing is, this film was very popular at the International Film Festival, and I guess there's certain themes in movies that makes them more popular. But this one, I don't know if you know of any other movies based on teenagers and growing up that have also been very popular in film festivals and have won awards. If you have, let me know, and why do you think they did win that award? So young people can be very happy, and I'm sure all of you are really happy students, and um, love to go and hang out with your friends and do some really cool things and have some fun. I don't particularly like going to Day World or Everland, but people like that. But also, just sometimes young people have a number of problems, and that's what I want to discuss now. I want us to think about the sort of problems that young people have. Um, so when I think about sort of people who are young, I guess there's a difference between the UK or the USA and South Korea, right? The problems that young people have in South Korea are not the same as the problems that young people have in England. Well, at least some of them are different, and um, you know, but there's also a lot of issues that are the same no matter what country you live in. Okay, and so right now one of the big problems is when people graduate from university, they are not able to find work. And this isn't just something that's true for Koreans, this is also true for a lot of other young people around the world. And this is a difficult situation, and not a lot of solutions out there for young people that seem to be appealing. A lot of Koreans want to work in very big companies like Samsung or LG, but there aren't that many opportunities for that. So of course they seem safer, so people want to go for the bigger companies, but why not try working for a small company for a while? It's good to take risks, and of course small companies are risky. They don't always work, they don't always succeed, and the good thing about that is if it does fail, you can always try to find another job. It's not the end of the world, especially if you're young. As you grow older, maybe that is a bigger problem, but not when you're young. Another difficulty that I think British children, American children, or young people and Koreans face is exam stress and having to try to succeed in exams. This has created a lot of problems in South Korea because education is a very important part of the culture and the society, and it's put pressure on young people to succeed in all sorts of different exams to get into the best high schools, the best universities, to get the best jobs. And it's a difficult thing for young people, not just in Korea, but it is quite acute in Korea because I think mainly of culture. And the other problems that young people face is about how they feel about themselves, about their appearance. I've always had always felt negatively about my appearance, but this can create a lot of stress for young people too. And how can they overcome these problems? How can they find solutions to negative body image, for example, and problems with education and the stress that they have received from their parents? So there's a lot of other issues really that young people face, and I want you to think about that. List the kind of problems that they have and see if you can work through some solutions. One of the solutions that people think works for body image is to get surgery, and I personally think it's the worst choice. But there's also, why not use exercise or makeup? Why do people have to get plastic surgery? But in South Korea it's really popular. I personally don't like it. When it comes to education, of course, it just comes down to study, but then it's difficult when there's so much to study. Isn't it better to focus on the one strength that you have? But people tend to feel pressurized to study all sorts of things that maybe are not useful for them, and so they feel under pressure to perform well in all kinds of disciplines and areas, but it may not be the right way to go about it. And also, what kind of techniques do people use for studying? Are they techniques that are helpful and healthy, and are they positive methods that work for them? Then it's sometimes good to analyze how we prepare for tests. So many people cram them in at the end, but really is cramming the best way to deal with a test? Shouldn't we be studying the subject every day and taking notes and trying to make them a part of our thinking processes every day? So now, this is why you need to bring your book. I hope you have your book with you, and we're going to look at some of the activities in the book. You will also need to be registered for the iqonlinepractice.com website, and hopefully you've done that using the process at the beginning of the book. I've given you the classroom code. It's a little bit earlier in this video if you haven't seen it yet, and if not, you can check the PPTs that I've sent to you every class. They will have a list of those, so you should be able to find them. So first of all, let's look at the different activities. We're going to look at 2 listening activities, also some listening skills activity, and we're going to look at some vocabulary. So first of all, the listening activities are listening 1 on page 54 and listening 2 on page 60. The listening skills are on page 58 and the vocabulary skills are on page 65. Let's start with the listening activity 1, making the right decision. In this chapter, in this part of the chapter, you can see that there is some previews to the listening that you can do. You can work with the listening using the box, and so it's about note taking. You can see that box there at the bottom of page 54. The table is asking you what the situation is, what the problem is, and what the solution is. The vocabulary, as you can see on page 54, is there. There are 11 words of vocabulary there. If you can, could you please look up the meanings of those words in the dictionary, and you can then also, after listening to this activity online, you can do parts C, B and C and D on the next page, on page 56. And if you understand the vocabulary, then you could do part E. There's also some discussion questions here on page 57, and the discussion questions are connected to the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child. So it says in that convention that anyone under the age of 18 is a child. What do you think about that? Do you think that's too young or too old? When does somebody become an adult in Korea? And the next question asks, do you think there should be a formal event to mark adulthood, coming of age event, like they have in a lot of cultures? And let's go to the listening skill. The listening skill is on page 58, and this is this is to do with predictions or guesses that you make using the information that you've got. So, and here we've got some activities. Part A, okay, is about reading the lecture titles and then predicting from those titles the what you might hear in the listening activity. So the first one is trends in world architecture. What I know about this topic, absolutely nothing, but I know that there's a lot of architecture in the world and it takes designers to make architecture safe. What 5 words might I hear? I don't know, perhaps building, construction, design, those kind of words, right? So work through part A there, then do the listening for part B on page 59. This you will find online, okay, so make sure you go back online for that. So that's the first listening and the listening skills. The second listening is growing up quickly, that's the title, and about young people's interaction with parents and adults, okay, and how they become adults. You can see there's the first preview to the listening talks about the emotions that young people might feel, and then there's a list of vocabulary there. Again, please use a dictionary to find out the meaning of that vocabulary, and then you're going to have to, again on page 61, do the listening and take notes using that table. Children acting like adults, and then the key words and phrases. Reasons some children take on adult responsibilities. Examples of parentification. So what is that word? Parentification. Examples of role reversal and emotions. I know from my own experience of meeting young people whose parents are sick, children can become like the parents in the family. You can see part B is for summarizing, and then another part C is for listening activities, and D and E on page 62. Continue with the vocabulary that you've learned and complete page 63 there, and so that's that. And then lastly I want to look at the vocabulary skills on page 65. Page 65 is about using the dictionary, and there's lots of information in dictionaries, not just the meaning of the word, but there's lots of other things. And if you can see here, they give examples of adolescence and youth. They're not exactly the same, but they're quite similar, so they might be useful to find out why this section is here by reading about this. This particular slide is about making a role play. Obviously, if you're alone, you can't do any role plays, but maybe you can do a role play with some people from the class who are friends of yours, or somebody who's in your project group, and or on your table, studies with you on your table or tables. So this role play is about a group of friends. So I mean, if you're a group of 3 or 4 people making this role play, that's good, okay? And you can record it with your smartphones, or you can just act it out using an audio, record the audio, or you could just talk about it with your friends and perhaps write out a dialogue of this role play. So the friends are talking about the 3 Korean political parties. Honestly, I don't know much about Korean politics, but if it's anything like the UK, there's usually 2 very strong political parties and then minor parties. So this for me seems a little bit unreal, because usually young people in the UK do not talk about politics. They're not really interested in that. It seems like mostly it's older people who are interested in politics and talk about it a lot. But it is important for young people to get interested in this topic because the decisions that politicians make affect everybody, including young people and their families. So it's kind of crucial to make sure that you understand what each political party means. So this role play, I hope, will not just be about acting in front of your friends and in front of me, but would also help you to begin to think about politics in general. And so the second part of that role play is to discuss the right choice. So why do we choose political parties? It seems like everyone wants to vote for their own interests, but is that the right thing? Should we be thinking about ourselves when we vote? In some ways, if we think of ourselves when we vote, it's helpful for other people because maybe they want the same thing. But if it's a selfish vote, who suffers because of that? Who suffers? So it's important to understand the consequences of our choices, especially in politics. And if you think about the parties in South Korea, how are they similar and how are they different? Think about what their policies are, what they want to change about Korea, what they like about Korea. Are they the same or different? I almost feel mostly in politics, political parties tend to be quite similar, and only a few areas are they different, So in Korea I don't really know enough to say, but I do feel there's a lot of similarities between the two main Korean parties here. So here's some questions about politics that I think would be quite interesting to talk about and to discuss. I've not shied away from controversial topics. I want to talk about these a little bit in this slide. So the first question is, do you agree with abortion? This has become a really hot topic lately because in South Korea a lot of women have felt that the abortion laws in Korea discriminate against women, and they've sought to change the law, especially those who've been prosecuted because of their involvement in abortion in Korea. And obviously there's been a lot of opposition from conservative people in South Korea, from religious groups, and they've tried to put their point across, and honestly they perhaps have been a bit aggressive in their opinion, and perhaps they should rethink about the way they communicate this. But obviously it's a very emotional and emotive topic. For some people it's the freedom to use their body the way that they want to use it. For others it's the sanctity of life and how important they value the fetus of the fetus within the womb, and what they consider to be the assumption that a womb is the safest place for an unborn child. So this is a topic that's got a lot of emotion and anger in it, and it's not just in America, it's every country where there's traditional values coming up against modernized values and feminist perspectives. And so it's obviously difficult for everybody. No one wants to get into a debate or argument about this, and it does seem that in South Korea the traditionalists are definitely losing ground with regards to the heart and minds of Koreans. Many Koreans have become more liberal, many Koreans have become more postmodern in their thinking and have forsaken their religious backgrounds. The second question is about gay marriage, and you can say the same here as we've just mentioned before. It's traditional values versus postmodernism and liberal thinking and new forms of thinking, for example feminism, that have come to Korea. And so again, lots of feeling about that, especially if you are from a traditional background. You might consider marriage as something that mustn't be changed. So effectively, if you're a traditional person, usually there's a political party that tries to represent your values. And if you're postmodern, feminist, or have some other sort of new academic way of thinking, there are parties that try to adjust their policies to meet what you want in society, and that's can be seen in a lot of main parties these days who try to take the center ground here and try to reach all communities. So question number 3 there is about the environment, and a lot of the main parties now have tried to be more eco-friendly. There are still some sort of smaller or minor parties that focus on the environment first and foremost, like the Green Party in England. But it's still one of those things that's periphery to most political parties that are most popular in the world. The other question, number 4, is about minimum wage. And in Korea, the minimum wage was increased recently, and this created a lot of problems for businesses because it meant they had to pay more money to their workers. And so it may not have been successful. It may not have been or successful, or it may not have had the outcome that they wanted, basically. So what do you think about that? Labour parties, left-wing parties, tend to want to increase the minimum wage. Liberal parties traditionally supported businesses and didn't really want that. Conservative parties, I don't think, had much of a problem with minimum wage increase. The 5th question is about the elderly. Do the elderly need free housing in Korea? I've seen a lot of elderly people around, and I think maybe they need some special housing. Think about that anyway. Discuss that with your team. Some other questions here. Should the Korean government give money to North Korea? Well, what do you think about that? That's also quite controversial. Some people say no, they shouldn't. North Korea are undeserving. Others say no, they're Korean, they're the same as us, we should help them as much as we can. And the other question there is animal testing. Do you think makeup companies in South Korea should test their makeup on animals? So that's something worth discussing there. And when you think about a political party, are they for animal rights? Yeah. And then there's the question about military service. Do you think there should be a voluntary force instead of compulsory military service? And so that's another discussion there when you think about which party you want to vote for. Do you think immigrants who commit crimes should be deported? Why or why not? Should they be deported or sent to Korean prison if they commit a crime? Do you think we need more nuclear power? So there's another question which is quite controversial because of the earthquake in Japan. What's your opinion about nuclear power? Is it okay to have more power plants or not? Have a think about that question too. And then through these questions, discuss them with your team or your friends. And why don't you actually look at the parties in South Korea and decide which one do you think is the best party for the future of Korea? This is a little kind of activity or exercise I'd like you to try. So this is kind of like a test condition. You choose something about becoming an adult that you don't like, and then I want you to talk about it for 2 minutes non-stop. and then the other team members will time you. Well, you can do that yourself because we're not in class, but you have to be careful about hesitations. Okay, they're not allowed. And I guess what you could do, since you're at home, is try this with some friends from the class, and perhaps, you know, send each other audio files using using KakaoTalk. And I mean, if I could do it now, I'm kind of nervous about this, but maybe I could talk about something that I didn't like about becoming an adult. And I think the main problem for me when I became an adult was just not really knowing what I wanted to do in my life. I went from middle school to high school, and I studied courses that I found too difficult to do, and I didn't really know why I chose them. I then left high school and got a job for a time, and I was stuck in this job for many years because I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And so I felt like I wasted a lot of my life in a job that I didn't enjoy. I guess if I could turn back time, I would have left that job and tried something I really enjoyed and took a lot of risks and tried some fun and exciting things. But I didn't. I just stayed there, and I was a bit boring really in that sense. And then I think later on in life I decided I'm going to go and do a few things that I've never done before, and I did a few things a little bit differently, and I did some voluntary work. I went to university, I got my degree, I then worked abroad, and I've been working abroad for 12 years. And this is part of growing up, isn't it? Part of growing up really is not knowing what you really want to do, but just taking risks and trying things out, trying new ideas, going off and doing things, sometimes getting good advice from people, sometimes getting bad advice from people, but making decisions and taking risks, and maybe wasting a bit of money on silly things like traveling and starting a business or just doing crazy things. And that's part of growing up. It's risk taking. That's part of being a young person, and I recommend that you try to do that. Don't be stuck in a rut. Don't get boring. Don't do what I did, but try to have some fun and do something exciting, something you've never done before. This unit has a section on grammar, and the grammar is on page 67, and it talks about phrasal verbs. And there's transitives, which need a direct object, and intransitives, which never take a direct object. And these questions on this slide are phrasal verb questions. So if you look at number 1, let's go through those together. I'll answer them myself, but I hope that you can answer them as well. Have you ever given something up? Me, I did give up smoking. So I was smoking in middle school, so young, and then I gave it up because it was unhealthy. Do you ever wake up late? I do when I'm on vacation. Sometimes I get into a really bad habit. If I'm working though at university and I have a morning class, I try to get into a routine, so I don't want to go to bed too late and I don't want to get up too late. Have you ever left your computer on all night? I honestly have. When I'm doing work in the office, I have not shut it off and I've kept it on. Do you get along with all your classmates? Do I get along with all my classmates? Yeah, I get along with all my classmates, yeah. I don't have any classmates, but if I did, I would get along with them. What about you? Do you get along with all your classmates? Have you tried to cut down on something a little unhealthy? Yes, I really love chocolate and I tried to stop, but I couldn't. Yeah, so the word cut down is there. Have you ever checked out a movie review before watching the movie? Yes, I always check out a movie review before watching the movie. I use two websites, one called IMDb, the other one called Rotten Tomatoes. Have you ever looked after a pet? What type of animal was it? Yes, my mom and dad had pets. When I was a child, I looked after the poodle and the collie dog and the cats, so many cats in the house. I was allergic to all of them, but I loved them dearly. The last question, have you picked up money from the floor? How much was it? Yes, I think I have. I picked up money. I think I kept it, but don't tell anybody. I think it wasn't a lot of money though. It was like 10,001, maybe something like that. And kept that and didn't really take it to the police. So maybe I should have done that. I don't know. But these questions are phrasal verb questions, and I think it will be good for you to learn a bit about that. I'm sure this will be in the test. Okay, so this slide is about underlining phrasal verbs. So what is a phrasal verb? It's basically a normal verb, but it has two or more words in it. So there's lots of, if you go online, you can just put phrasal verb in there, and there's so many lists on the internet, and you can just find hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of phrasal verbs. There are dictionaries full of phrasal verbs, and you know, and if I was just to say to go to just pick one website randomly and read out some of the phrasal verbs, they say it's a verb plus a preposition or adverb, and they even say that sometimes they can have three elements. So for example, if I just talk about the ones with two elements, the phrase write down, he wrote down on a piece of paper the names of the people at the party. So writing down is a phrasal verb because it's got a verb and it's got a preposition, down. Now one with three is I look forward to meeting somebody. So here we've got look forward to, and look is, obviously in this context it means I'm anticipating something, I am looking forward to something, I am expecting something good to happen. It's a positive word, and so I'm looking forward to meeting somebody nice next week. Okay, and there's lots of phrasal verbs, but in this slide I want you to underline the phrasal verbs within the sentences, so that you can see there that the first sentence says the internet is a useful way to keep up with current affairs as well as the latest business developments. So what is the phrasal verb in that one? If you look at that and read that yourself, okay, and then find out. And then the second one, at each milestone of the project it will be necessary to carry out a series of quality checks. Okay, so there's a phrasal verb there. Number 3, leave me your phone number and I'll get back to you as soon as I have any news. Number 4, one of our customers has complained. Could you look into it and see what can be done for him? Number 5, he's so rude. I don't know how his colleagues put up with his aggressive behavior. The deal wouldn't have fallen through if you'd been a bit more flexible on delivery dates. Okay. Number 7, just because you're having a bad day, there's no need to take it out on me. Okay, so look through those 7 questions and decide which words in there are part of phrasal verbs. Okay, it's time to finish the class. As per usual, I want to get some feedback about these videos. There's a lot to go through in them, and I just want to get some feedback about what you thought about these videos. And anyway, I hope to see you at the next class, and have a nice evening, and I'll talk to you soon.